Vinland Saga Season 2 is officially here. The Farmland Saga begins, or as our boys are about to experience it, it is a slave arc. We have Thorfinn, who's been sold off into slavery, looking down in the dumps, poor Leaf still trying to find him to his best of his abilities. And we get introduced to Einar, a poor lad who just wanted to fight, wanted to be a warrior, and unfortunately for him, lost everything, and over the course of a journey was reluctantly about to accept just being a farmer. As long as he gets food, everything would be fine, until he meets our boy, and we know an escape is about to be planned. Season 2 is about to kick off, ladies and gentlemen, and I am here for it. Now, this season, it's now shifted over to Studio Mappa, but luckily for us, it's basically the same production team. While it may not have Wit Studio's name attached to it, the key director, the key people that were involved in crafting the beautiful Season 1 that we experienced a couple years back are still involved with Season 2, so that's why this feels like such a quality production. Hell, that's why the first thing we hear in this episode is you can just tell immediately the voice actor, it's not someone act like they're Icelandic or anything like that. No, you can just tell that it is a real person from the culture who is speaking this poem. And just to establish this episode, because Vinland Saga has always been more than just crazy action. There are moments where characters do some crazy battle shenanigans. But the thing that has always made Vinland Saga such a personal story is that it is a journey, watching characters evolve and grow, and as the viewer connecting with their emotions, and this first episode of Season 2 did exactly that. Now before we jump in any further, I do gotta make a mention, I do have a full live reaction available on my Patreon, so if you do want to see that, consider supporting. But let's talk about this, because this is an episode with very little action. It's an episode with no humor, really, outside of maybe the first moments before the immediate shift to the burned village and everyone running for their life. But we have a character, Einar, immediately just focusing in on someone who immediately I was just like, okay, you can tell the direction they're gonna go. This is a boy who wants to be a warrior. Mom and sister, this family dynamic are saying, yeah, we're on the quote-unquote the losing side, but how can you look at this as the losing side? They're looking, it's a glass half full sort of a situation. Basically appreciating what they have, and the family life is more than acceptable. And then to just have an immediate shift and it's all on fire, they're running for their life. You knew damn well the mother wasn't going to make it, but I was totally expecting that this sister-friend dynamic, I was like, okay, she'll probably end up getting captured, he'll train up to try to find her someday, and it just didn't go according to plan. Not only was he in such distress watching someone die before his eyes, he couldn't even run with his sister in order to save him and herself, and instead of her just getting carried away, she attempts to free herself, and then she gets killed. It's just an immediate hook to say, Vinland Saga is a brutal environment, that, there's fates worse than death, and I was very happy. It sounds bad, but I was happy to see the mother end up dead before they got to her, because we know the type of people, what they do during these raids, and it could have been a fate worse than death. So her just getting shot in the back and obviously being fearful for her family, unfortunately was probably the most peaceful outcome that she could ask for. But man, to just see a man just constantly feel like, how did his family ever see the beauty in the world when they always felt like they were a moment away from something like that happening? And, the boat scene where he's just sitting there watching someone barely survive, and then she gets tossed off the boat because she's not going to make it. And for these people, if you're not going to be able to look pretty to be sold off as someone's slave in a very disgusting, horrible bedroom way, I don't want to say the word because YouTube doesn't like it, or as the men for warriors or servants or whatever else they need for physical labor, it's just horrible to see how they're literally called products. They don't look at these people as human, they look at them as products to be sold. And I think what made this episode so compelling, so emotional, is it was a slow burn journey of watching Einar start at a place where things were relatively normal and he had that drive to be a warrior seemingly, and to see how he tried to hold on to that positivity that his family had, that, well, I'm still alive, but how do you hold on? How when you're on that boat do you not just think about jumping over yourself? Because how else are you going to end your life eventually if it gets to that point of being so bad? And to see the moment when he tried to escape, man, that was painful, because when they take him back after capturing him, you can't even recognize his character design. He is so, it's just so inflamed because of the beatdown, and then they continue the beatdown afterwards. When you hear slave arc, right, you're expecting that if you're going to tell something with that heavy of subject matter, you really got to make it feel realistic for what they're doing, and they absolutely are. There's going to be a range of people who will end up buying For them, they will consider them servants. Other people, they'll consider them products. And to have someone eventually end up saying, you are a farmer? I have a farm. Would you want to be on my place? Because you can help me farm. It's one of those things where at that point you have to just say, like, that is the best you could hope for. He's probably going through his head thinking, I'm either going to be sold off as a warrior to be killed, a plaything to be tortured. There's so many things that could have went wrong. So to have someone just say, hey, come work on my farm. It's this beautiful but tragic scene because he's looking at this beautiful landscape, just reminded of home. His family's not here, and he's a servant. He's basically a slave, and if he tries to run, he'll never be able to have a life, because as we saw, he barely had food, and the little bits he had to become a thief. And then to have him just slowly narrate this in the way being like, I was moments away from accepting it, but as soon as you hear Thorfinn's name and then to see him come, I mean, at that point, you know, eventually hopefully these two end up as best buds, because I love both of their characters from what I've seen. I mean, season 1, we got to experience the Thorfinn journey into such a interesting, intriguing development, and Einar within one episode was just an amazing character, heartbreaking character, but amazing nonetheless. So to see them probably try to escape from this farm at some point and rise up and obviously try to meet up with Levu, man, how long has he been searching for him, man? Like, he's been doing that since season 1, and to see how old he's gotten, but it was a funny moment though. Like, that was probably the only other funny moment in this episode, because basically we see someone approach, we can't see who it is at first, and he's like, hey, I'm looking for a short blonde kid, and you gave me this. Like, how does that even look? And he's not even close to what I'm describing. But I like the fact that there was this like heart-to-heart moment where he grabs him on his arm and just being like, I apologize. I can afford to save someone, but unfortunately you're not the family I'm looking for. And to hear him just say like, that's one lucky person to have family still searching. Like, it was painful, man. It was heavy without going edgy or gory, and that's kind of what this show's always been about. It's been about connecting to characters going through the most emotional journey of warfare where the world's turning and changing into something brand new. Cultures are going to new lands, and to see characters just so easily be discarded as trash and a product, from having a beautiful family life to them being nothing but someone who we have to make sure your teeth look okay if I'm going to buy you. Like, it's just very, very heavy stuff, but it was a beautiful first episode. The new opening and endings were shocking in a way, but I really enjoyed them. Shocking in the way that I thought maybe I don't listen to openings if they get released before the episodes drop. So for me, I was like, oh, they're probably going to try to bang us in with like a banger of an opening, but it's a somber opening. It's a somber ending song. But given the fact that Farmland Saga is going to be character drama, it's not going to be action galore, it's not going to be death galore, it's going to be an emotional journey probably, with some slice of life natures. I think they definitely picked an opening and ending that sets the tone of what to expect from this. To have anyone say that the reason they liked Vinland Saga was only because of the big action moments, they are definitely not who the target audience is for. And I think an arc like this, from what I've heard about Farmland, is that it was a slower read. So I guess if you were reading it as chapters are releasing, I could see how maybe that could be a drag. But I think for a 24 episode anime season, however long it takes to get through this, I'm excited. I like slow burn, I like downtime moments, and I like emotional moments, and I don't need action for Vinland Saga to be great, and that's why I'm excited for this one. But thoughts, feelings yourself on episode 1 of season 2 of Vinland Saga. What did you think? How excited are you for this season? Do let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Now, like I mentioned, full live reaction is available on the Patreon, and while you're there, you can also get video shoutouts, like a few are about to get here. So we got Francis Nicholas, Quante Tuggle, and Lefty. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.